2019 are called to order concurrently at 6:15. I'd like to have the Pledge of Allegiance be led by Mr. Palmer.
Please stand. Face the flag. Place your right hand over your heart. Repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
May we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Carey. Commissioner Alshanable.
Present.
Commissioner Caravello.
Present.
Commissioner Ortiz. Commissioner Smith. Chairman
Present.
Smith.
Okay, thank you. Oral
We have a
communications.
quorum.
No, we have a quorum, thank you. Oral communications. Please note the rules for meeting decorum on the screen. In the interest of time, these will not be read, but be advised that the Planning Commission will adhere to these standards. This is the time for the public to address the Planning Commission and the Airport Zoning Commission for items not on the agenda. Please note that if an item is scheduled as a public hearing, you will have an additional opportunity to speak when the public hearing is opened or continued. Comments made now regarding items scheduled for a public hearing will not be included in the official record of public testimony for that item. So if anyone in the audience would like to address the commission on items that are not on the agenda, please come up to the podium. Please address your comments to the commission as a body and not to individual commissioners directly. Only very brief responses may be given to questions asked on topics not on the agenda. Please keep the remarks to 3 minutes. Anyone like to come up to the podium? Okay. Seeing no one, I will close oral communications. Planning Commission and Airport Zoning Commission consent calendar. Are there any items?
No items.
We will recess the Airport Zoning Commission, and now we'll have the Planning Commission consent calendar. Any items?
No items.
Thank you. Continued public hearings. We have no continued public hearings tonight. A new public hearing. Conditional use permit number 2019 CU05. So now is the time and place to open the public hearing to consider conditional use permit number 2019 CU05. Associate Planner Maria Maharic will present a staff report.
Good evening, Commissioners. I will be presenting conditional use permit 2019 CU05. It is for the Earth Cafe roof sign at 4940 West 147th Street. As you can see from the vicinity map, the lot is located between Ocean Gate and Inglewood Avenue on 147th Street. Lawndale High School is to the south of the site, and LA Fitness and a few other businesses are across the street to the north. And here is a closer view of the project site. It is within our industrial zone of the city of Hawthorne. This is the location of the sign. You will see in the next few slides what the sign will look like and the height of the sign. And as you know from the Earth Cafe, they have a commissary and they're opening a restaurant there. And you approved a beer and wine license previously last year. This is the rooftop view looking south for the sign from Lawndale High School. The sign measures approximately 16 feet in height, and that's to the very top of the teacup here. And it's only facing to the south, and it's just one-sided, so it's not illuminated on the other side of the sign itself. The total height from the very ground of the building to the very tippy top is 45 feet. But the sign itself, like I said, only 16 feet. It is a total square footage of 380 square feet. They are permitted a lot more signage on this lot. They have at least about 170 square feet left that they can play with to place other signs on the building itself. This is what the sign will look like illuminated. Very simple sign, just to call attention to their location since it's pretty isolated. It's away from the main commercial areas of the city, but a very well-known cafe. Therefore, staff recommends the Planning Commission adopt PC Resolution 2019-07, approving the conditional use permit for an illuminated roof sign for Earth Cafe. And that concludes my staff report, if you have any questions.
Thank you. Does the Planning Commission have any questions for staff? This is the time for questions as staff only.
No questions.
No, thank you.
Is the applicant present, and do they wish to speak? If you would, please come up to the podium.
Good evening. My name is Chris DeRuiter with Signage Solutions, and we are representing the applicant in putting together the sign package that you see here tonight for you. If you have any questions at all, as the staff has said, it's very simple, very straightforward, just to help give them exposure to the 405 freeway and drive traffic to not only the commissary, make it easy for vehicles to get there, but also for retail, for the restaurant and the cafe itself.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to address the commission on this issue? Please come to the podium, please.
My name is Jonathan Levitan, Levitan. I'm a lawyer, and I represent the owners of LA Fitness. The company is called Hawthorne Boulevard Investments. I appreciate the opportunity to address all of you. I just want to point out a few due process problems that I think you should be aware of. We received a letter dated June 20th from the city notifying us of this hearing about 3 hours ago. And that letter also stated that we would have an opportunity to present written comments to this application by June 28th. Quite obviously, that opportunity has been denied to us because we only got the letter today. I'm not in a position to explain why we only got the letter today, but it was sent to the correct address. So the first issue that we would like to bring to the attention of the Commission is we would like some due process to be given to us as it has been given to Earth Cafe to allow us to address in a more detailed and comprehensive manner whether this application should be granted. We oppose the application in the current form, firstly because it was not properly noticed, And secondly, because we are not in a position to agree to a sign which we believe radically transforms the environment. It is very large. It will obscure our building. It will also be completely anachronistic to the environment around that area because it will basically stick out. And I'm not sure the commission would be comfortable with changing the landscape of Torrance, of Hawthorne in that manner. So the sign is not acceptable. The due process is, frankly, completely lacking. And we would very much appreciate the opportunity to have people who are qualified to look at the sign and the intended use and its effect, both environmentally and commercially, on that immediate area, so we can present a more comprehensive opposition. All I can do is tell you what we know now. It's big, it's intrusive, it hasn't been thought out, it violates our due process, it's antagonistic to the immediate environment, commercial environment, and I don't know what the commercial or the environmental effect would be on a broader scale. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but I will represent to you that I received a call from my client, Daniel, about 2 hours ago saying, hey, there's a hearing today in Hawthorne. So that's why we're here, because we were very concerned about that. I think that's a fair observation to say that we need a bit more time, certainly to see where we are with all of it, maybe to meet with Earth Cafe and find a common ground. We're not here to obstruct development. I'll submit on that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Maria will speak to any questions you have regarding the noticing.
I'm sorry?
Maria will speak towards any questions you have regarding the noticing.
Okay.
Hi.
Just for the record, could I ask you a couple questions, Maria?
Of course.
Okay. Was notice of this hearing mailed and published according to law?
Yes, it was. It was published in the newspaper on June 20th, and it requires 10 days before the public hearing. So this is about 14 days ahead. And that same day, hearing notices were sent to property owners within 300 feet of the location, and 9 property owners were notified, including the City of Lawndale and the school district.
Okay, was the LA Fitness Building, the Hawthorne property entity that was just discussed, was it on the mailing list?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and so the notice to that property owner was dropped into a mailbox on that date that you just mentioned, which was about 14 days in advance of this hearing?
Yes.
Excellent. So based on that, we do have jurisdiction for this hearing. You do always have the authority to continue a hearing, but you do not have the obligation to continue a hearing since it has been properly noticed.
Through the chair, if I may. If I may, through the chair. Can I ask Maria a question?
Go ahead.
Okay. The sign, as it is right now, does it comply with the municipal code that we have for Hawthorne?
Yes, it does comply with the municipal code, as the municipal code requires a conditional use permit for roof signs.
Yes.
Now, part of what the municipal code specifies is that there is a certain amount of signage that is permitted per lot, and it's at 2 square feet per linear foot of street frontage. And that includes all the signage that they are going to place on that property. And this is within that allocated amount. In terms of the height, because it's a roof sign, the only thing that we have in the municipal code that that talks or specifies any regulations is at 45 feet of any structure, which a sign would be considered a structure. If it goes beyond 45 feet, they need to set it back a certain amount. But this just hits the 45 feet from the very bottom of the building to the very top of the teacup. So it is in compliance with the municipal code.
Thank you. Did we close public hearing?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Whether to allow additional comments from the public would be at the discretion of the chair.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
It is your discretion whether or not you allow the public to speak twice. It is not our typical practice.
Okay. Do you have any questions on it?
I just have a comment on the conditions, but we can wait till
Okay.
after.
Okay. So what do you recommend? Sounds to me like, you know, the notice was sent out properly.
You are legally in the clear to take any action which you would take following a hearing, including adopting the CUP, continuing your action until your next meeting, or making modifications.
Okay.
And I would add that we're still in the public comment section of the public
Okay,
hearing.
yeah.
And
Let's, okay, is there anyone else who wishes to address the commission on this issue? If there is, please step up to the podium, and then after that, we'll give you an opportunity to speak again. No one? Okay. Would the applicant like to make additional comment?
You're not the applicant, but thank you for the additional opportunity. I'm trying to see, firstly, there's no prejudice really to Earth Cafe or to the city.
Would you speak in the, pull the microphone over there?
I'm sorry,
so- yeah,
I have
sorry.
I have a funny accent too, and it's difficult to understand
No,
me
no,
sometimes.
no.
It's no prejudice, obviously, and I'm sure the city attorney would agree, no prejudice to Earth Cafe or the city to let us have a look at this in a more detailed manner until the next hearing. That's really all we're asking for. Doesn't seem to be an outrageous request, and seems in keeping with the due process that everybody's entitled to. I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Palmer, are there any documents to place into the administrative record, such as late communications?
no,
Okay, do any of my fellow commissioners have any final comments on this item or questions from the staff?
I do. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
I had a question for staff. Would LA Fitness be able to propose a similar sign for their business? I understand that they're saying that they might be blocked by this sign. If they were able to propose a similar sign, is that something that might be possible?
So they do have a conditional use permit for their signs, and when the self-storage facility was coming in, which is being built right now next door, I believe they negotiated to figure out how their signs wouldn't block theirs as well at that point. If they need to propose a higher sign and that sort of thing, they would need to come in and amend their existing conditional use permit.
Okay.
And my question is, Maria, is there a need for an environmental study for a sign?
No, there is not. It is exempt from
Thank you.
CEQA.
Thank you.
And then I had also wanted to include a condition that the approval of any illuminated signs shall not be final until 30 days after installation, during which period the director or staff may order the dimming of any illumination found to be excessively bright, and no sign permit shall be valid until such order has been carried out to any extent satisfactory to the director or staff. Illumination shall be considered excessive when it prevents normal perception of the objects or buildings beyond the vicinity of the sign. And then another condition, all illuminated signs shall be turned off between the close and open of business and shall only be used during business hours. And then all signs and support shall be removed once the business is no longer in operation.
Go ahead.
Were you complete?
Oh, that's it. That's it.
With the agreement of the commission, we could amend or make those changes.
Yes.
I actually believe that we should call the applicant to see if the applicant is agreeable to the recommended conditions.
Yeah. So I don't know, did the applicant hear the whole conditions?
Yeah, in regards to the, might have to repeat them exactly. The first condition was,
It involved the brightness of the sign, pretty much just that it's not bright, and that in order for it to be valid or deemed complete, the director or staff will confirm that it's not at a bright level. If it is bright, then it would have to be reduced.
okay, and just before let me qualify that. The signs that we're building are identical to the LA Fitness sign that's already facing traffic coming southbound on the 405. It's identical in size. It's identical in also the fabrication. We're using LED. Somebody talked about, you know, the quality of the signs. We're using LED on that, so we don't have any environmental impact if that was ever an issue on that. And as far as intensity and brightness is where I'm getting to, we'll be equivalent with that. There won't be an issue there at all. We're a lensed, to get technical for you for a moment, we have a lensed face over the letters themselves, Earth Cafe, and so that's identical to the LA Fitness. It's identical to the sign just next door to the property, the big freeway pylon that you see there, Ashley's as well. So there'd be no difference in brightness whatsoever.
So you would be agreeable to the condition to basically stay within those parameters?
Yes, I will. I would want to be in those parameters, equivalent, not less than.
Commissioner, is that acceptable?
Yes, it's acceptable.
And then you continue.
And then the second one was that it's only in operation during business hours.
Well, that would be an issue because all the signs out there, I travel the 405 all the time, they're all on and they're after business hours. One's a union hall there that probably is working from 8 to 6 or something like that. Same thing with LA Fitness. The whole goal is to have that exposure on the freeway in itself, and so we're cutting down a lot of time when we wouldn't have that. So I don't think the applicant would be very happy with having the sign off at 10 o'clock. Is that when we should close down? 11 o'clock. You know, we'd want to be able to have the same ability as the rest of the adjacent tenants that are out there doing that now. We wouldn't want to be penalized as one company when everyone else's signs are on.
Yeah, I understand that, but with it being, you know, a restaurant use, you would probably want it on only during operation and not after. Nobody's going to come to the restaurant if they're closed.
So through the chair, in this situation, if there's a disagreement, then I would have the rest of the commission chime in to see if they're agreeable to that condition or if they could make a friendly amendment to what you're asking.
May I? I mean, if the businesses that are nearby are having the privilege to have it on all the time, I don't think that this should be an exception. So,
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
If the others are allowed to have it on all night, why would we want to say this one couldn't?
The commissary functions 24 hours a day.
yeah.
I'm sorry?
The commissary itself,
Yes.
there's two components to this property.
Yeah.
It functions 24/7. So
Okay.
it doesn't have an off time. Only the cafe shuts down.
Okay.
And then the next one was that the sign be removed when there's no longer, the business is no longer in operation.
Totally acceptable.
Okay.
So
So
you
we
agree
would-
with two,
We
out-
would go with the two conditions, but not the one about turning it off at 11 or, after hours. Leaving it on all night would be okay, but the other two, or take that one out and just use the other two, number 1 and 3.
okay, so I think we should continue discussion, and then when we call for the vote, we'll see what happens. And what I mean by that is, if I can refine the language and you all agree, then we'll bring back a resolution with the proposed changes. If you all do not agree, we will have to continue. So I'll allow for discussion to continue, and then when I call for the vote, we'll see what happens at that time.
I'm not quite understanding, Chris.
No, but, discussion amongst us.
I will get used to that button, I really will. I think that the moment on the floor, there's a motion to amend the application with the 3 changes. Are the 3 changes written down somewhere? Do you have those written down?
Yeah, I have them
Yeah.
written down.
Okay, so you can get them to the clerk.
I mean, but would he be willing to make the 2 instead of the 3?
Yeah, you have the option of changing your motion, accepting a friendly amendment from the other board member.
Amending the conditions.
Yeah, I'll accept the 2.
Two. Okay. In that case, I think there's a motion on the floor for the resolution as published with the 2 changes that were proposed from the dais. And it would now be appropriate to have any additional discussion on that motion, if there is any.
I think I'm okay
Okay.
with that.
Is there-
I'm okay with that.
That's fine with me.
Okay, in that case.
Can I second? Was there a second?
Do I have a motion?
There wasn't a motion. That's what I was
Yeah, just to be
thinking.
sure there is a motion.
Yes.
Why don't,
I mean-
why don't we have,
Yeah,
why don't we have a motion and a second,
So,
with the
If
motion
you
being
may,
what I
if
just
you may present your
mentioned.
motion with the amendments.
Okay.
Okay, anyway,
it-
before we do that,
yeah.
I want to formally close the public hearing on this item. Call on my fellow commissioners for a vote on the item. Excuse me, please step to the, sir, please, excuse me. No, step, I'm
Okay, you're-
asking you to come to the podium so we can hear you and they can hear you on
I-
television.
The public
think
hearing is
that-
closed.
Register my
Don't scream
objection
and scream
to
from the
abuse it.
audience.
I wish to register respectfully my objection to a resolution being approved by this commission, which differs from the resolution that was noticed. There is a due process issue which will need to be sorted out by the courts on that, because you've changed what you originally noticed. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Mr. Attorney? if I
Okay,
may.
well, first of all, your objection is on the record. We did give appropriate notice of this hearing, and we are allowed to make modifications based on information that comes up at the hearing. So therefore, it would be in order to adopt the resolution with the 2 changes that have been proposed from the dais. Your other options would be to continue your hearing until your next meeting, or you could make any other motion with respect to the proposed resolution.
Okay,
Um,
continued or go for it now?
I would like to go for it now.
What would you like to do?
Yeah, we can continue.
I'm sorry?
We can go for it now.
Okay.
yeah.
So we have a motion and we have a second.
Who made the motion? I'm
Okay.
sorry.
You
We're just
seconded,
waiting
right?
for him. Yeah, but we're waiting for him to actually state the motion.
So I'll make the motion for approval with the 2 conditions that I had stated before.
I will second.
Just so we have clarification on what the motion is, could let me read the 2 sentences
two-
into the record.
He needs to see that right now.
Oh,
Okay. The condition number 1, the approval of any illuminated sign shall not be final until 30 days after illuminate installation, during which period the director may order the dimming of any illumination found to be excessively bright, and no sign permit should be valid until such order has been carried out to an extent satisfactory to the director. Illumination shall be considered excessive when it prevents normal perception of objects or buildings beyond or in the vicinity of the sign. Then number 3, all signage and support shall be removed once the business is no longer in operation. And I would note for the record that both of those conditions were consented to by the representative of the applicant. So I believe that there has now been a motion to approve the resolution with those 2 additional conditions. It would now be in order for there to be a second.
I'll second.
Please call for the vote.
Commissioner Caraveo,
Yes, approve.
Vice Chairperson Alshnable,
Yes.
Chairperson Smith.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is conditional use permit number 2019 CU06. Now is the time and place to open the public hearing to consider conditional use permit number 2019 CU06. Senior Planner Chris Palmer will present a staff report.
Thank you. Conditional use permit 2019 CU06 is a request by Cost Plus World Market to gain approval of 3 different types of alcohol beverage control licenses. One is a Type 21 license, which would permit the sale of alcohol for consumption off-site. Type 42, which would permit on-site consumption of alcohol, and Type 86, which would permit on-site instructional tasting at their facility. Cost Plus World Market is being proposed to occupy a former Staples building, which is in between an existing Costco and Bed Bath & Beyond. This is a site plan of the location. Cost Plus World Market is nestled in between, like I said, Cost Plus and Bed Bath & Beyond in the regional commercial zone. I do want to point out a couple of things within the resolution. The resolution refers to what they're proposing as beer and wine in several places. I just want to point out that the use of the terminology of beer and wine is interchangeable with full alcohol. The tasting that they're asking for, each type 21, type 42, and type 86. So because they're doing these 3 things, I just use beer and wine, and it's interchangeable. So any place I'm talking about beer and wine, know that it's a full liquor license that I'm referring to. And also in the conditions of approval, the draft version that you had in your packet spoke to a type 40. It spoke to type 41. That was a typo. So the chairperson has the modified version that actually just mentions each type that they're asking for in this application. It is categorically exempt from CEQA. It's a permitted use within the retail space that they're asking, and staff recommends approval of the application. Staff's available for any questions.
Okay. Does the Planning Commission have any questions for staff? This is a time for questions of staff, from staff only.
Yeah, I have a question. I know the submittal requirements require I believe it's like a 300-foot radius showing a list of the surrounding land uses and any existing alcohol licenses. Was that submitted with the application?
That was submitted.
Okay.
Costco has an alcohol license. Then they have one at Chipotle. And then there's one across the street, across Hendry, inside of Ayers Hotel.
Okay. And then I would like to ask if, like, for future applications, if that can be included in the staff report as an attachment.
Absolutely.
That's all my questions.
Okay, no question. Okay, is the applicant present and do they wish to speak to us? Please come to the podium.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Micah Tran with Art Rodriguez Associates, and I'm here representing our client, Cost Plus Inc. Thank you, Mr. Palmer, for the staff report. We would like to state that we are in agreement with the staff's recommendation, requested action, and suggested edits. Cost Plus has over 50 years of experience in more than 275 stores nationwide. The operator is highly experienced in managing the sale of alcohol at many of its stores and will ensure appropriate security protocols are in place. All of Cost Plus employees involved in the sale of alcohol will be thoroughly trained and meet ABC compliance before they begin working. As a company with ethics-based policies, Cost Plus is committed to operating with value-driven practices and will act responsibly with alcohol sales, which are incidental to the specialty retail store's operation. The applicant will follow all conditions set forth by the city, Hawthorne Police Department, and ABC to ensure the safety of its customers and all residents alike. Thank you for your consideration for this conditional use permit. I will be available to answer any of your questions, and we may have a store manager here as well, right here, Paul, who can answer any operational questions you may have as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the commission on this issue? Okay. Mr. Palmer, are there any documents to place into the administrative record, such as late communications?
I provided the radius that Commissioner Caraveo had asked for. I provided that to the commission currently. That's part of the record I just provided to you guys.
Just to make sure we get this clear on the record, there are 3 ABC licenses involved here. The Type 21 is an off-site alcohol sale license, which means that they are allowed to sell any sort of alcohol, beer, wine, or spirits for consumption off-site. So basically, it's a packaged liquor license. The second license is Type 42, which is on-site sale of beer and wine in a public premises, which basically means that they are allowed to sell beer and wine to be consumed on premises, but not liquor. And then the third license is the Type 86 on-site instructional tasting license, which is the special license for instruction about wine.
So on this off-site consumption, does that mean that once they get out the front door and in the parking lot, they can open the bottle or whatever and partake of it?
No, because public consumption of alcohol is still illegal under separate laws. What this regulates is what they're allowed to do as a business on their site. And so they're allowed to sell closed packages of any sort of alcohol to customers take out, similar to a liquor store. And then they're also allowed to serve beer and wine to customers for consumption on site, like a bar. And then they're also able to do this instructional thing, which I'm sure the applicant can explain to you in more detail if you're curious.
Teach you how to drink the wine, right?
But anyway, I just wanted to make that point, just so it'd be clear that there is this distinction between the on-site sale and the off-site sale, and they're allowed to sell any sort of alcohol in package, but then for on-site consumption, it's just beer and wine.
Okay.
The chair, if I may.
Yes.
So for the on-site consumption, on-site is only inside the store. There's no outside area that might be considered on-site.
Correct. On-site is kind of a term of art that's used by alcohol and beverage control to mean basically open for and consumption
Yes.
sales, as opposed to packaged liquor stores where you take it off. The restrictions about where you can have consumption on site are included. I believe there's a condition in here which says that it needs to be consumed within a specially designated area inside. And so this wouldn't be consumption in the parking lot. It wouldn't be consumption in the aisles of the store. There's a special
Fight area.
a special area which I presume will have like tables and seating, or which is where all the consumption would take place.
And that's part of the staff report. It has a floor plan that's attached.
Just wanted to make sure there weren't any outside areas. Thank you.
Okay. Do any of my fellow commissioners have any final comments on this item or questions from staff? If not, I will now formally close the public hearing on this item. Call on my fellow commissioners for a vote. So do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Okay, and is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Secretary, please call for the vote.
Just to get on the record, could you read the motion from the agenda? It's a motion to adopt Planning Commission Resolution 2019-08, approving CUP number 2019 CU06.
Thank you. So,
Actually, you can just say, yeah, I'm moving
yes, okay. That's exactly it. Thank you. So, motion to that.
And you've seconded.
And I'll
Thank you
second.
very much. Okay. Will the secretary please call for the vote?
Commissioner Caraveo,
Yes.
Vice Chair Alshanable,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Okay, now we'll now recess the planning commission, call back to
Actually,
order
wait.
the airport zoning commission.
Hold on, before you move on,
I'm sorry.
I'd like to have that vote retaken with the motion is what we said, but with the changes that were previously mentioned to change the condition so that it is the three the three ABC license types, not the one that was incorrect.
Okay.
So if you could move what I just said and then
Okay.
re-second.
Okay, so I'll move with the 3 business licenses.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And then you're going to have to second Mr. Cavallo? Commissioner Cavallo,
We need
you're going to need to second again.
I'll second.
Yeah. Okay.
perfect. Now you can call the question.
Do we need to vote on that also? Okay.
Yes.
Commissioner Caraveo,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Alshanable,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Now we will recess the planning commission, call back to order the airport zoning commission. The airport zoning commission consent calendar. There are no items. Airport zoning commission new continued public hearings. There are no items. We'll call back to order the planning commission concurrently with the airport zoning commission. Administrative items. There are no items.
There are no items, but I want the Planning Commission to know that the City of Hawthorne today announced that they're searching for a planning director to fill a vacancy. John Ramirez is no longer with us.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
John Ramirez is no longer with the city,
Right.
and today the city announced that they're searching for a planning director. So just want the commission to be aware.
Okay. Commissioner reports. Ladies first.
Thank you, sir. I just have to say that Sunday I'm going to be traveling out of the country. So if we have a meeting in July, the second meeting, I'm not going to be able to attend because I'm going to be back on the 29th. So enjoy meeting without me.
Have a
Yes.
safe trip, please.
Thank you, sir. That's it.
I just want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July.
Yes, that too. Thank you.
Right. Just think, for the last 2 weeks, my neighborhood is like a war zone with all of the
Yeah,
fireworks
fireworks.
going on, and think tomorrow night what it's going to be like. Oh, it gets worse and worse every year. Okay, if there isn't anything further from the commissioners, this meeting is adjourned at 6:55.